coming to it now, I suspect. Question number 4, Grant Robertson.
Very timely. To the Minister of Finance, what is his answer to Fran O'Sullivan's question, quote, was John Key's brain fart on the tax front an involuntary exercise or was it calculated?
The Honourable Bill English. Order. The Honourable Bill English.
Mr. Speaker, I'd say she got it wrong.
It's your question, Mr. Speaker.
Supplementary question, Grant Robertson.
When he took tax cuts off the table in his pre-budget speech, was he expecting the Prime Minister to put them back on the table 3 days later?
The Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr. Speaker, what I made clear is that the fiscal conditions in this budget had not been met for tax reductions. And of course the opposition will just have to have a look at the numbers in the budget this week to see whether they think those fiscal conditions can be met in the future.
Supplementary question,
Grant Robertson.
What is his response to Westpac economist Dominic Stevens, who said if the plan is for $3 billion of tax cuts, as the Prime Minister said, down the line, then that makes the accounts that he will deliver this week irrelevant and obsolete?
The Honourable Bill English.
Mr. Speaker, I disagree with him.
Question.
Supplementary question, Grant Robertson.
Why do you disagree with him?
The Honourable Bill English.
Well, because, Mr. Speaker, due to the hard work of the public service, the members of the various coalition governments and the New Zealand public, this budget will indicate that New Zealand has choices out ahead of us, which very few other developed countries have. They simply won't have choices because their public finances are not yet in a sustainable position, as are.
Question, Mr. Speaker.
Supplementary question, David Seymour.
When was the last time that the Government of New Zealand cut taxes with the Labour Party in power, and who was the Minister of Finance at the time?
Order. No, it's an information question to the House. I think there is some responsibility to answer it. The Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr. Speaker, this government's tax package in 2010 cut some taxes, that is the taxes on things we like work, savings and investment, and pushed up taxes on something we think we had too much of, which was consumption. Prior to that, I think it was Dr Cullen announced tax cuts in 2008, which could not be fulfilled because of the recession.
Order. The level of interjection now on my left-hand side is simply too high. If I want to specifically mention a couple, I can do that, but I'm going to have to ask for some cooperation, otherwise I'll be dealing with it more severely. Grant Robertson, supplementary question.
Are tax cuts a priority when New Zealanders are living in cars and garages?
The Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr. Speaker, as we've indicated, there won't be any tax cuts in this budget. There are other priorities to deal with. But there's a whole range of priorities, and the member, on different days, the opposition say it's elective surgery. On other days, it's student debt. On other days, it's budgeting services. Today, it happens to be people living in cars. The opposition don't seem to have any idea of what they think the priorities are.
Order. 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 Grant Robertson.
Question. In light of that answer, if New Zealanders are still living in cars and garages in 2017, will he still propose tax cuts?
The Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr. Speaker, the member is getting well ahead of himself. He can be assured that the level of public support for the budget for 2016, I'm sure, will be positive and considerable, and that will give this government, because of its sound financial position, plenty of choices for dealing with pressures that might be there next year.
Mr. Speaker.
Supplementary question, Grant Robertson.
Did the Prime Minister tell the Minister of Finance that he was going to put tax cuts back on the table just 3 days after he'd taken them off?
The Honourable Bill English.
Mr. Speaker, we completely disagree with the member's characterisation of what the Prime Minister said, and the Prime Minister and I and ministers regularly have strategic discussions.
Question number 5, Kevin Hay.